Hi, everyone. I wanted to give you an update on what's new and what's different and how the course is going to be run for the spring term 2014. Um, this video may go a little bit long because I have a whole slew of things to talk about, and if it but it's real important for you to please watch the entire video so you are informed as to what's changed and what's new. I believe will cover everything. If I do miss something in this video, I'm sure you'll get an email from Chrissy later on about that. So to begin with, the course menu. There are some changes in the course menu. Notifications is the same. The e-text, the assignment calendar is the same, except that under the assignment calendar, the to-do and completed has been taken away. And I'll talk about that in a little bit. Under the course materials, that's basically the same. And now you'll see a new item called student grades. Now, this is really nice because in the previous version of MyITLab, we had that custom view where the students would be able to see all the grades in one fell swoop, wouldn't have to drill down through the folders. And so that's what this is now. The custom view is back. But I changed the name to student grades so it makes some sense. So when a student clicks on this, and again, remember when you're in MyITLab and you click on a item that does not have a computer icon with a slash through it, this is a true student view. So what I'm seeing here is a listing of all of the grades, all of the stuff. The student can actually drill down on it, and they can actually view the submissions. So they can do that from here if they so desire. Another new item is the instructor custom view. That's not new, but what I did is instead of having the instructor gradebook show up as the first item that you click on, so that you don't have to click a second click, you click on the instructor custom view, and now you'll get a complete view of all the grades and all the students in one fell swoop. So you can look at it this way and again get to the submissions. And this is a much easier way to download this CSV file, delete out what you need, and move it over when you're to Angel. The instructor gradebook is still there for you if you do need it, but this is the view where you have to drill down into the individual folders to get to see what each student has done. Now, going along with that, one of the things that did not work last semester and therefore has been taken out is the overall grade or the total grade or the grade or the average for each of the various categories that we use. I took that out because it was not looking exactly the same as what was in Angel. So Angel was grading it one way, and MyITLab was grading another way, and there may be some confusion. So to avoid confusion, we took it out of MyITLab, and all of your grades will be moved over to Angel, and that's where the true student grade will be. I know that I saw some differences, sometimes up to 1 or 2 points. I've heard other instances where somebody said the grade in MyITLab was actually higher than the grade in Angel, and therefore the students were really confused. So we took that out also. So the rest of the items in the course menu are the same. Now, another thing that we decided to not do this semester is the grace period. So if you remember, the grace period was that the students would get 15% off for each day that the grade was late. The reason that this was taken off was that I know from my own sanity is trying to go through and see which students had done it as a grace period, and I'd have to move that grade over because I move grades over every week, and then the student has up to 7 days to do that extra work. It was just more honestly of a nuisance, I think. From my perspective, I know in talking to Chrissy, it was a nuisance from her perspective in trying to keep up with who was doing the grades and who wasn't. Because one of the things that happened, if you went to the notifications and we had this grace period on, so once I go to notifications and I go to click on return to instructor view, the past due submitted would never be it would never show anything as 0. So I would really never know exactly when the students had turned in that grade late unless I went through and actually looked at in each individual grade in the gradebook, and it became really cumbersome. What you'll have to do now, if you decide not to turn on the grace period, it will be up to you if you want to turn on the grace period. And I'm going to show you where you can do this globally, so you don't have to do this for each individual item, is that you would have to go to the notifications and click on Return to Instructor View, and the past due submitted would be here. And when you click on this, you'll now have an item where it will decline. So if a student did do an assignment late and you did not give them permission to do the assignment late, you can actually checkbox the assignment and decline it, which means it won't show up here and gump up the system. If a student did do it late legitimately, again, you can go ahead and accept it, and the grade would be moved in, and you know which students have done it late because you gave them permission to do it. And at that point, if you want to take some points off for it, that's your choice. But if you want to set the grace period yourself, you can go ahead and do that. And again, I'm going to show you globally. So what you want to do is, I'm just going to go into add from a library, but you can go to any particular item that you want, a instructor view item. And then what you want to do is click on the little preferences icon in the upper right hand corner. And under the preferences icon, you're going to click on activity preferences. And with activity preferences, what you're going to do is choose the specific preference. So you'll see, for example, that we are using grader project homeworks, and you cross from that, you click on the edit, and then you go to timing, and then you'll see enable grace period. You checkbox that, you choose what you want deducted. You can choose for every hour, for every day, whatever you want to do. It's your choice if you decide to turn this on. Once you do that, you go down to the bottom and click apply to all, so that it will apply to all of the grader projects that are homework. Once you click apply to all, then you click save. I'm going to go out of here. And then what you do is, I always click on save preferences, and then after I click on save preferences, save and close. So you'll want to do that for the homework, and you'll want to do that for the assessment projects. You'll also want to do it for the objective-based quizzes, because we still are using those with the video questions. So that's how you go ahead and use that. And I'll go ahead and close that out, the global preferences. Okay, so another thing that's real important that's new, I'm going to go to MyITLab now, and I'm going to click on get your computer ready, and there is now something called a download. It's not really a browser tune-up. This is a wizard that creates a launch tool similar to what we had in the old version of MyITLab. Except what this launch tool does is it's going to check the student's computer for various things, including that Chrome, which is the preferred browser, because we are bringing simulations back, but optional. And I'll talk about that in just a second. So what happens here, I'm going to go click on the PC, is the student downloads this installation, and they have this, and I have this all in the orientation right now. And when they go through, and when it gets installed and they double click on it, what it's going to do is going to stick this icon on their desktop. And what they're going to do is it's going to check to see that they have the right operating system. It's going to check to see that they have the right DPI. It's going to check to see the screen resolution, the DPI. It's going to put the trusted sites in the particular area. It's going to check that it has Chrome version 30 exists at least. And if it doesn't, it will actually go ahead and download that, and it will empty the cache. And once it does all of that, it will actually load the program. And there's one for the PC and for the Mac. So I'm going to go ahead into the orientation. Let me go this way into the orientation, because this is something new in the orientation. We are going to expect that the students will download the launch tool. So the setup, step one. Wow, I can't talk. Setting up your computer. There now is a home computer setup, which it talks about. There's a couple things a student needs to do. They need to download and do the launch tool. So when they click on this, it takes them to the tutorials on how to get the downloads for the launch tool, and then they go ahead and download the launch tool, and of course we have the information there. What we want them to do next is, and this you're gonna have to grade yourself, is for 5 points we want the students to take a screenshot of their desktop so that we can determine that they actually do have that launch tool on their desktop. Now, this isn't going to stop this. If the student doesn't do this, they don't get the 5 points, they get a 0. And then you can say to them when they have problems, well, you don't have the launch tool, because you know who did this assignment. Now, in this, we tell them to do this, and I have a tutorial on how to take a screenshot for Windows 7. Whoops. We have a tutorial on how to take a screenshot for Windows 8. There will be a link for how to take a screenshot on a Mac. And then there's just general information for how to take a screenshot that I found on both a PC and a Mac. So the student can actually go down here and it actually explains this little process. But we have tutorials for that. So we have lots of help for them. And then they're going to need to upload the screenshot to their Dropbox. And what we're asking them to do is use Paint. On the Mac, I'm not sure what we would ask them to use, but a Paint program, and they're going to upload a image file. And they're going to go ahead and upload this, and then they're going to click Finish for grading. And again, this is something that you will have to manually grade. But we hope that this is going to help the students a great deal in terms of making sure that they have the best experience they can have on MyITLab. Now, Chrome is the recommended browser, but you still can use Firefox and Internet Explorer. Not in Explorer 11 yet. I think that's going to be ready for January, though. So that's what's new in the orientation. The rest of the orientation is the same, except that one other thing in the types of orientation is we do not have the skills-based exam. So this is another thing. We are putting back the skills-based training simulation assignment, but we're making it optional. This little icon here means that it's optional. So from a student's perspective, when they go to the course materials and click on the orientation activities and go to the types, what they're going to see is optional, meaning that this won't count against them. But we're hoping that they want to do these, and this is because we're a little gun shy. Again, these are not going to be required. They're not going to be part of the student's grades. So if the student has issues with these and can't get them to run, tell them just to move on, because they're not going to have to do those. So if I click on it, you'll see that it gives the start. And this is starting out differently in that it's checking the student's connection immediately before they start. And again, this is just 2 questions just to get them a taste for that. And the practice is still coming soon. I thought the practice was set up, but it's still not there. So hopefully the simulations are going to be better. I know Pearson was working on them and making sure that they work better. And again, with the launch tool, it should work a little bit better in terms of that. So now let me talk about the way the course is going to be run. And I think I got everything else on here. But let me talk about how the course is going to be run, and I'll talk about the to-do and the completed thing. So again, they have the orientation, the computer and internet literacy, nothing's changed in that. The operating system, again, nothing's changed in that for what the students do. In terms of the applications, what we're going to be doing is we have the e-text. I now also have a link to the companion website so that if the students want to get some extra practice here, or if the students need access to the student data files, they can get them very quickly and easily. We have a link to the audio PowerPoint. And again, what we have is the video tutorials like we did last semester, and we have the video tutorial quiz, which is 5 questions worth 5 points. Now, as I said just a minute ago, we did put in back the word Chapter 1 skills-based training. But again, it is optional and it will not count toward their grade. It will not be in the grade book. Then what we have is the homework grader project. So this is how it's going to run for each application. Students will have 5 attempts on each one of those, and it's worth 50 points, except for one that's worth 51. And then they'll have the assessment grader project, where they'll have 2 attempts on this before they can submit it. So that's how the applications are going to run. Let me go into the instructor gradebook for a second and make sure that I show you that the training simulations are optional and will never show to the student. So one of the things that you don't want to do when you go into any one of the folders with the applications in the gradebook, you'll notice that the trainings, the skills-based trainings in the gradebook items have a line through them. That's because they are hidden from the student. And they're also not in the custom view, so they're not going to be in the student grades. Please do not unhide these. Please do not put these in the custom view. Again, they're not counted. So the last thing is the to-do and the completed. In talking to Chrissy, we just found that particular to-do and completed menu item just seemed a little confusing for students. Sometimes it worked, even though sometimes it didn't work, in the sense that I got emails from students that would say, I did this stuff and it shows past due. Why does it show past due? And it shouldn't have. Anything that student had completed should have moved into the completed list. So, and then the other problem with it from the student's perspective is that it would open up, just like here, it would open up a whole new window. And it would also then have the links, in here, and the students would be moving through here and it was very confusing. So we didn't feel like that was such a big that was a big deal for the students not to have, because again, they have the assignment calendar as you assign items. Those should show up, and the student can navigate that way. And of course, they have the course materials to navigate that way. So we just felt that it was an extra layer. While we felt that it was a nice feature, it seemed to be a little confusing for students, so we turned it off. So sorry for this long 17-minute video that you have to watch and listen to, but again, a lot of new changes. I think we will have a better experience for our students. Hopefully the simulations will work better for the students as long as they use that launch tool. And again, we will, any problems, and feedback that we need to hear from, please get back with Chrissy or I. Thank you.